Looking at the exclusive seller brokerage engagement agreement, Form F101 of the Georgia Association of Realtor forms. And we're going to take you start to finish so that it's a little easier to figure out how to open it, fill it out, and send it for signature to your client all through Command and DocuSign. So the first thing you're going to want to do is actually open up your browser in Google Chrome. Command was built on the Chrome platform, and it does tend to have errors if you're trying to open it on another browser. Say, if you are trying to use it on Safari or Explorer or any of the other browsers, Firefox, those will all give you some glitchy errors with Command and DocuSign. So your best bet is always going to be using Chrome. And I always recommend doing it on a desktop or a laptop. Tablets do tend to have some glitches as well. So the first thing you're going to do is open up your Chrome, and then you are going to go to agent.kw.com. That will take you to your login for Command, and you will use your username and password that was given it to you from your Market Center. And once you log in, it will dump you into your home screen and your dashboard of Command, which will have your task and recent leads, as well as goals and pipelines and any information that you have as well. Usually there are some product updates over to the right. And where we are going to get started today is actually over in your contacts. You have to have a contact in order to start an opportunity, and you have to have an opportunity before you can start a transaction in DocuSign and start adding forms. So we are going to add our contact if we haven't already. If you do already have a contact in your database that you want to use, you would just search and select that contact and then create an opportunity from there. So today, Gary Keller is going to be selling his home. So we will need his name and we will need an email. And we are going to actually do a bogus email just so we do not end up selling Gary Keller's house. Okay. If you have additional information, it is always good to enter it when you are first adding a contact. This includes social media profiles, home anniversary dates, birth dates, children's names, dates, pets, all that kind of information. The more information you can put into a contact, the better your database will be, because you will be able to target particular groups based on interests, based on location, and all of that information. So for now, we're just going to do the bare minimum: name and email. And we're going to hit create. And it will automatically dump you into that contact. It's like opening the contact up from your contacts. There are a couple of ways that you can create an opportunity. The easiest way, if you are having to create the contact first, is just to go directly into your opportunities tab here within the contact, click it, and hit create opportunity. Should you already have the contact created and you want to do it from the Opportunities tab, you can simply go over to your menu bar over here, find the handshake, click that, and then create the Create Opportunity button in the right hand corner. If you ever get tired of trying to figure out what the icons mean, there is a little tip that you can use. You just click the red KW and it will expand that and leave it expanded. It helps if you do not click on one when you don't mean to. So we are in our contact and we want to create our opportunity. So we're going to hit create opportunity. You will select your market center. It will usually default to whatever market center you are currently in. If you are a member of two market centers in two states, you will need to select which market center you want to create the opportunity under. The next is, if you are part of a team, you will need to select whether this deal falls under the team or if it is something that is excluded from any team deal. That is something you will need to discuss with your rainmaker, and that is between you and them as part of your team agreement. Next is the opportunity type. We are going to work on a listing because we are working on the seller brokerage engagement today. Our client has autofilled. I am the owner as the agent. And if you had a co-seller, you could select it here. This could be a spouse, a partner, a sibling, anybody who would be a part of the process and part of the legalities of selling a property. If you had any custom tags, custom estimated closing dates, commission range, you usually want to put 6%. That's usually kind of the generic generality of a commission for a residential property. It is pretty much whatever you want to put in there. We do tend to go with 6%. We are going to put it in the appointment phase, and we are going to put it in the scheduled, simply because I am assuming I am going to meet with these people to get this listing agreement signed. So I'm going to click create, and you now see that under your opportunities you have a 1, and if you click on that, you are now in that opportunity, and it will open up your opportunity. So far we've gone from contact to create opportunity to into the opportunity. Now, obviously on a listing, you know the property address already, so you want to go ahead and enter it on your details page. We are just going to pick one here. We're going to do, apparently we're going to do one in, let's do one in Georgia actually. Make it a little easier. 1, 2, 3. Let's see, we're going to do Main Street. Usually it will default to one nearby, but apparently right now it thinks that I am nationwide, which is totally fine. It just means we do have to go in and actually manually enter everything versus just clicking on a drop down. And all right, so we are going to do 1, 2, 3, 4 Main Street, Alpharetta, Georgia 30005. We're going to hit save, and you'll see opportunity has been updated. Any information you have over here is always good to fill out. Anytime you see the little pencil icon, you can click on it and edit. And now we are going to go in and actually start our opportunity, create that transaction within DocuSign, which is where we will add all the forms, edit all the forms, and send the forms for signature. So we're going to click on the Documents tab, and you'll notice you have a Start a Transaction button. If for some reason you do not have a Start a Transaction button, or it does not allow you to click on it, that means your DocuSign account has not been connected in Command, and you can reach out to your Market Center and they will be able to help you walk through that step of creating your DocuSign account and connecting it. So we're going to click Start a Transaction. If you are in that and you click it and nothing happens, make sure you do not have pop-ups blocked. If you have your pop-ups blocked, it will prevent this DocuSign tab from opening. So be sure if you click it, you know your DocuSign account is connected, and for some reason it still is not opening, always double check that you do not have pop-ups blocked. From there, it will bring you to the DocuSign login screen. It is usually whatever email is attached, typically your KW account, and whatever password has been set. From there, it will drop you directly into your room. So you have opportunities in Command, which lead to documents rooms in DocuSign. So you'll see we're on the Documents tab. We have the opportunity to either upload documents, or as we are going to work today, we're going to add fillable forms directly from DocuSign Forms. So we're going to click the Add button, and we're going to click DocuSign Forms. And you'll notice you have quite a few forms that pop up here. You have some groups over here that have different forms within them. Each Market Center will have their own group libraries. So if you see one or don't see one that you would like, or it's missing a form that you would like, reach out to your Market Center and they will be able to add that for you. Within that, we then have the FMLS library, the GAR library, and there is typically a Market Center specific library. I'm out of North Atlanta, so mine shows 181. Chat North would show 315, and Roswell would show 367. So we're going to click on the Georgia Association of Realtors. Those are the forms that our brokerage group uses. And then we simply search for the seller brokerage agreement. Now you'll notice if you do seller, it's going to pull up anything with the name seller in it. I'm going to do a quick little sneak. It is the F101. You want to make sure you are pulling the exclusive seller listing agreement versus a non-exclusive. You do not want that because other people will be listing the property as well as you. Now, you'll notice on mine, I have a template form that has dropped up. We will not be touching on that today. You can attend any DocuSign training that will show you how to do a static form template that helps you along the way with filling in information automatically that is the same across every form. I'm not going to be using that today simply because we want to show you how to fill out start to finish the exclusive seller listing agreement. We're going to add selected. It should give you a green message. Anytime you see a red one, that is an error, and you want to make sure you read what it says and find out what the error is. If it is something that is not a temporary error, feel free to screenshot it and send it to your Market Center leadership, and they will be able to help you sort that out with tech support. From there to edit, we just click on it, and you'll notice the blue form. That actually means it is a fillable form. And from there it will open up the document. You'll notice it's the 2023 printing. That is why we are doing the video this year. We want to make sure we give you the correct information for the correct year's form. So you notice that it is pretty much standard. It hasn't changed a whole lot. There are a couple of tweaks here and there. And we're just going to walk through step by step. In section 1, you're going to be filling out the property information. Section 1A is the property address. You want to make sure you fill it in. You want to make sure you fill in the county as well. No blanks. You do not want blanks. If there is a blank and you don't have anything to put in it, you can put none, NA, not applicable, spelled out. Anything like that you can go ahead and do. Now I'm going to make up a tax parcel ID number, but you will be able to pull this from the tax record for that property, which you can either pull up in the local county tax record, or you can go to FMLS and pull it up in the realist database. So tax parcel ID number, I'm just going to start typing some random numbers. It's usually found on FMLS listings, and in the realist it is actually labeled tax ID parcel within the tax record. From there we go to section B. You have to have the legal description for any property that you are listing. This is what identifies it in the eyes of the law. This is what actually defines what the property is. There are 4 ways to identify it. You have to select one over here on the left, and then from there you have to either attach the exhibit as number 1 says. This can be pulled off of gsccca.org. The market centers do have accounts with gsccca.org. You just need to reach out to your market center for the username and password, and you'll be able to search any legal exhibits off of warranty deeds or security deeds in that database. And that way you can print them to PDF and attach them as exhibits. A second way to do it is to do a deed book and page. This can also be found on the tax record. Usually down toward the bottom of the tax record there will be a form that says it's usually last recorded sale, and there's information on the sale history, and you find the most recent deed book and page, and you can use that. From there you can also do, if you have the legal description in front of you, you are welcome to type it in. So you can click the 3 and then you can type in the land lot, the district, the section, the lot, block, unit, phase, and neighborhood, as well as the plat book and page. My only concern with this, or my only caution with this, is to make sure that you enter the information in correctly. You do run the risk of mistyping something, and that then misidentifies the property, which can kind of throw a snag in the works when you're trying to do the actual sale and contract. From there, number 4 is if it is a condominium, you will need the full unit legal description. It's a separate type of legal description, but it is not the same as a fee simple townhome. A fee simple townhome, you can use the land lot description up in number 3. So again, you would just have to pull all the information, verify it is correct if you are doing number 4. Today, I'm going to just hit exhibit, attaching it as an exhibit, just to save us some time. From there, we move to section 2, and this is now where you come into the information is going to be coming from any listing consultation you have had with your sellers. The purchase price of the property, this is the list price, this is what you've agreed to list the home for. And you need to make sure that this is what you have agreed upon in your consultation after you have done a CMA for them and discussed any upgrades and things that they've done to the home, as well as what they are looking for to get out of the house. A note about DocuSign. DocuSign does not like commas. So if you try to put a comma in here between the 500,000, it's probably not going to allow you to save the document. It'll give you an error. So you do need to remove the comma. So that also then leaves you with the caution to count your zeros. If you are listing a $500,000 house, make sure you do not list it for $50,000, and also make sure you do not list it for $5 million. So it's a double check your numbers when you're entering them. Commencement day of the agreement. This is the date that you agree to go into effect. It's the signing, basically the signing date. And then the ending date of the agreement. This is the term of the listing. Typically, you want to put it for 3 to 4 months. If you just are having a seller that is pushing back and they want to do a 30-day, that is fine. It is absolutely something that you discuss with your seller and come to the agreement. Standard that we've seen, or the generality we see, is usually a 3 to 6 month listing agreement. So we're going to put today's date in. And you'll notice the way they've done the forms this year is you have the date, the month, and the day, and then you have to tab over to put the year. They give you the 20, you just put the 23 in. Ending date, we're going to just do August 31st, 2023, and that is the period of my listing. From there, we move into section 3, which is regarding marketing. This is where we let the sellers know and disclose to the sellers where we will be marketing their property. We will be marketing on FMLS. And if you market on FMLS, you have to market on Georgia MLS. One more that you can put in here is KWLS, but this is not required. This is the Keller Williams listing service that kind of syndicates out to Realtor.com. It syndicates out to Zillow, Realtor.com, any of the general search engines that people can use. It does syndicate out to that. Most of the time, we simply see FMLS and Georgia MLS. These are the two multiple listing services in the metro area, and these are the ones that we do use as a broker. From there, we have the delivery of agreement. This is just a notice that says, once you have it, you have to list it on FMLS within a timely manner. You can put a marketing commencement date of a later date from January 18th. This would be if you need a few days to get photos taken after the listing agreement is signed, if you need to get the home staged, anything like that. We're going to put I want to list it on Thursday, so we're going to actually make it go live in the system on January 19th, 2023. From there, you do have the addition of a little note here that you can change that based on the seller. If the seller says, hey, wait, I don't want to go live tomorrow, I want to go live next Monday, you can say, I want to move this date up or back. Obviously, we're doing tomorrow, so it's not going to be back. But if you wanted to, you could. Like if you had put a 2-week period date in this line, you could, with the notice from the seller, move it forward. But you want to limit that. You don't want them to sign this agreement, say, I'm going to list it in 3 days, and then them send you a notice, say, actually, I'd like to change that for a month from now. So, say, I'm willing to do 3 or 4 days, maybe 7 days. So you discuss and you come up with what works for you as far as how much you're willing to adjust when that listing goes live. And that goes in section B. From there, we move to page 2. And one of the favorite parts for any agent is the commission. This is how you get paid. So on the listing side, this is where you are going to charge the seller a commission and then agree to share that commission with any co-op agent. So we select this top button that says we are going to request 6%. If I can type. You can also do a flat rate amount in this section, the second section, and then you can put an other if there is any type of other stipulation you want to put in with the commission. 99% will be using this top checkbox with a 6% commission. From there, we do, as a brokerage, have the agreement to share half of that commission with any co-op agent that is on the transaction. That is GLG policy. We share 3%. If for any reason you discount your commission as a listing broker, say instead of 6%, you're going to take 5%. One, why would you do that? Don't sell yourself short. But if there are valid reasons, you're on a buy sell side, something like that, and you have brokerage approval to reduce your commission to a 5%, we still have the policy in place that we share 3% with the co-op agent. It's just good policy. From there, if there are any types of situations where you would change that 3%, say if you showed that agent's client, that agent couldn't show the property, they ask you to open the house for them, you can put a stipulation in that says, should you show the buyer's agent's client the home, you can reduce the buyer agent commission. This is where that goes in. You do have to disclose that to the seller, so you want to make sure you enter that in here as well. If you have additional pages that are needed, if you have a really long stipulation, you would check that box right there and attach an additional page. If you are going to offer an additional or a separate commission, should the seller decide to lease the property while you have it listed for sale and you help facilitate that, you would put that commission here. Say we're going to list it for $3,000, or we're going to take a $3,000 commission, and any description of what how that is going to be paid to the broker and when it is due upon lease signing, upon move-in, something like that would be in this section. If you are not doing any of this, you want to make sure you put a not applicable and a not applicable. Same for up here. From there, we move into number 5 and the protected period. This is the protected period that protects your commission should your seller unilaterally terminate the brokerage engagement. If for some reason it is a mutual termination, this does not apply. But if it is a unilateral termination where the seller terminates your listing agreement, but then a buyer that showed the listing or found that property through your marketing of that listing, your commission is protected. You can ask for it and expect to receive it during this period of time. I would recommend doing about a 90-day, but you can do a 30-day, you can do 60-day, you can do 90, 120. It's up to you. This is, however, important to put it in because if it is not in, it doesn't apply. And again, if it's a mutual termination, it also does not apply. The way this would work, a situation like this would be you have the home listed for sale, a buyer comes and sees the home while you have it listed. The buyer then approaches the seller directly, which they should not do, but they do sometimes, and they say, hey, I'm willing to buy the house, but I don't want to deal with any agents, and you don't want to have to pay for an agent. So if you don't have to pay for an agent, will you reduce the price? They terminate the listing agreement with you and then try to sell that buyer the house without an agent. This is a situation where you can then ask them to honor that commission that they agreed to. From there, we go into the agency and brokerage. GLG offers all of these types of agencies: seller agency, buyer agency, designated agency, dual agency, sub-agency, tenant agency, and landlord agency. We do not prohibit you from having any of these on offer. You only need to select these if we are not offering them. So on your listing agreements, none of these have to be checked. However, Section B does. Section B is if we do offer dual agency, which we do, then you have to have the seller acknowledge that they do or do not consent to broker acting as a dual agent. A dual agent is where you represent both the seller and the buyer as clients, not as customers, but as clients. You represent each of them equally. This is a difficult transaction to handle, and you do have to have broker approval to do it. However, we do offer it, and you do have to have the seller consent or not consent. Our broker does recommend that you go ahead and fill in the does, and by signing the document, the seller then agrees. If the seller sees that and asks it to be changed, you are more than welcome to come in and select does not. Now, new for 2023 is number 7, lead-based paint disclosure. This is a federal law. It is a federal requirement, and it is a federal fine should you not be in compliance. Basically, any house built before 1978 has to have a lead-based paint disclosure. If you know for a fact the house was built in 1990 and you're like, well, there's no lead-based paint, I'm not going to worry about it, I'm not even going to fill it out. No, no, no. You still have to put no dwelling on the property or portion thereof was constructed prior to 1978. You have to select one of these. It was or it wasn't. Same with a purchase and sale. That is also on there and you have to click it. But if a dwelling, this is basically any property on that has a structure. This is a barn, a home, an outhouse, any structure on the property that was built prior to 1978 has to be disclosed. Now, this does not apply to maybe the home was built in 1990, but they've brought in pieces that were they've got a mantle or a door frame or a door that comes from an older property. That's not what it means. It means the actual structure itself. So for here, we're going to say this house was not built before 1978. If it was, you would select A, and then you would attach the lead-based paint exhibit as part of the listing agreement. Have the seller sign it. Have yourself as the listing agent sign it, and then you will attach it to any listing you have on the FMLS as a part of the documents that are available for co-op agents to give to their buyers. From there, we move into Section 8, which is any type of third-party approval that is needed should any of the sellers be going through a bankruptcy or a divorce. If it is a short sale, that's where these sections come into play. If they are not applicable, you do not check any of the boxes. And then number 9, the very last thing that you actually have to fill in before we scroll down into the document to get to the signature page and the exhibits is the negotiation. You do want to click that the seller does authorize you to assist in negotiating contracts. You don't want to put does not. You do want to provide that service for your seller. Now from there, that's the last of what you actually have to fill in for the listing agreement. The rest, Section B down, is actually explanations of everything you have filled in on the previous 2 pages. Everything matches up. So B1 goes with A1, B2 goes with A2. Everything matches up, and I do recommend reading through this. You want to make sure you are able to explain this to your client. For now, we're just going to scroll through. And we're going to get to page 9, and this is where you can attach any of the GAR property pamphlets, any of the brochures. They have the lead-based paint pamphlet. If the home is built before 1978, we do recommend attaching that. You do also have the option to put the ABCs of agency, which explains the types of agencies offered to listing brokers and sellers. And the mold pamphlet, the radon pamphlet, there's a protect yourself when selling a home. There are all different types of GAR brochures that you can attach. You do not have to, so you can leave those blank or you can select all of them. Exhibits and addenda. This would be where if you had selected on page 1 that you were attaching a legal description, you would select that and label it A. If you had to do lead-based paint, you would select that and you could label that B. Exhibits are letters. Any amendments are numbers. Remember that. If you had a retainer fee, if you were charging a fee to even retain your services, you would need to have the retainer fee exhibit. We are not going to attach anything to this one, so I'm going to go ahead and remove those. And then you have a special stipulations box where this is if you had any type of special stipulations that you and the seller have agreed to. This would be if you agreed to pay for a home warranty for the buyer, you could put it here. If you were representing them only in a specific transaction with a specific buyer, you could put that here. There are all different types of special stipulations that you can add to any contract or brokerage agreement. However, you do want to run them by your broker. If you're worried about the wording, you need to run them by an attorney. If there are more pages needed or more space needed, you can click this additional special stipulations, and there is a different form, the F246, that you can attach that gives you more information to fill in. From there, you have the seller acknowledgement appear. By signing this agreement, the seller acknowledges that the seller has read this document and is understanding and agreeing to everything. It is also, if you notice number 3 here, seller is not subject to a current seller brokerage engagement agreement with any other broker. By signing this, they are acknowledging they are not represented currently. Now, it's pulled in some information already from what we filled in Command, but you would also want to go ahead and if you want them to be able to receive any type of notice via their email or their mailing address, you want to make sure you fill it in here. And you would do the same for both sellers if there were more than one. As well as their phone number. And their email address. You want to put what kind of if you know it's their cell or their home or their work, it's a good idea to click which type of phone number it is. So you have signature spots already for seller 1 and seller 2. Should you have more than 2 sellers that need to sign this document, you do have the option to add an additional signature page, which is F146, and that will give you an additional page of simply multiple signature boxes to have multiple sellers sign. This would be kind of this case if you had siblings or an estate that had to be sold that didn't have an executor, or if you had multiple people owning a property. Typically we see it in like family situations where there are lots of siblings that own a property together. From there, you go into the broker information. This would be information that you would want to fill in on that static form template that I discussed earlier when we were adding the form. There are other tips and trick videos that show you how to do that, as well as on answers.kw.com. You can search up static forms and it will teach you how to create and apply those. This basically, those static forms will save you from having to enter this missing information each and every time that you go in and fill out a brokerage agreement. So you do want to fill in all your information, and not all of it pulls over from your information in Command and in DocuSign Profile. And you do need to fill in your license number. You do need to fill in your office code. This varies via Market Center. Mine is KWNF01. You can check with your Market Center leadership if you do not know your broker code. If you do not know your broker license number, you can also check with your Market Center. For Keller Williams North Atlanta, it is H36119. That is our license number. And then the broker phone, address, your email, and what board affiliation you have. GLG does require that you are a member of a board, so you do want to put what realtor affiliation you have. From there, the last thing you could fill in, but you're not going to, is the receipt of the copy of it. You want to get that when the seller actually signs it. And you can fill this in when we're actually doing the envelope for signature. From there, you are done with this document. You can click Save. And before we go in and actually send this to our seller for signature, I want to show you one more thing, and that is with a seller, you're going to want them to do seller property disclosure statements, and if the home is subject to a homeowners association or a community association, you want to do the community association disclosure. We can go ahead and add those forms here. So you go into DocuSign Forms, make sure you're in your GAR library, and it is the Form 301, I believe. Yep, seller disclosure, and then the community association disclosure is the F322. Or actually, it's the 322. You'll see I have selected two forms. If you want to make sure that you have the right ones, you can click the selected box and it will show you what you're about to add. From there, you just hit Add Selected. Now, the thing about the community association and the seller property disclosure statement is you do not fill anything out for the seller. The only thing you can fill in for the seller is the property address. And you'll notice, because we put it on the listing agreement, it has already filled in. You want to leave the exhibit blank, and you want to leave this optional offer date blank. That comes into play when the home is actually having an offer put in on it, so the buyer's agent will handle it. However, you will notice you cannot fill this in. That is because legally you are not able to. This is a form that must be filled in by the seller. Now, if you look at both the community association and the seller property disclosure statement, I'll open it up real quick. You'll notice that there are a lot of things for the seller to fill in. They need to fill in each and every item. They need to have a yes or no on everything. On the very last page of the seller property disclosure statement, there are a ton of check boxes. Do not fret. You do not have to drag check boxes on every single one of these. DocuSign has made it very, very easy for you, and we're going to show you how to make sure that you have this fillable for your seller when you send it to them for signature. Now, from that, I have my 3 documents. But wait, there's more. There is one document that Georgia Legacy Group does in fact require for all contracts. All sellers, all buyers must sign the affiliated business disclosure. This can be found in that Add Forms. This is found in the Market Center documents. So you would look in your Market Center folder, and you want to have this affiliated business disclosure. This is simply a document that shows them that we have marketing relationships with O'Kelly and Sorahan, Campbell and Brannan, 210 home warranty, Shelter Home Mortgage. Those are our affiliate alliance partners, and we will be updating this form in the next few months. But we will take care of changing that out so that you just have to know that you grab the affiliated business disclosure. So these are the 4 forms you want to have your seller sign along with the list. These are the listing agreement bundle. Let's just call it that. In order to sign them, you're going to check the boxes in the upper left corners. Be very careful and make sure you are clicking in the boxes, because if you click anywhere outside, even if it's just a little bit, it will open the document back up and you will have to close it out again. It's just time consuming. So make sure you're checking the box. And from there, you'll notice a little pop-up menu pops up here, and you can copy, move, email, print, combine the documents. What we're going to do is create an envelope. This is sending it to your seller for signature. Now you'll see it pops up with, who are you sending this to? Well, we are sending it to ourselves as the listing agent, and we only have one seller, so we're doing seller 1. If you have 2 sellers, you will select both seller 1 and seller 2. Now, if you are including the community association and the seller property disclosure statement in this bundle for signature, the one who is going to have access to fill it in, all those checkboxes, all those questions, is going to be seller 1. So if you know out of your 2 sellers, there is one that's going to be the one who fills it in and the other one is going to have no idea what to put on it, that person who has no idea is going to be seller 2. Seller 1 is going to be the seller that's actually going to be filling it out. So from there we click continue. And you will see it brings up your 4 documents that you had selected. A note, if you click view here, it's going to be blank. It shows you a blank form. It does not show you the form that you filled out. So don't stress if you hit view, it doesn't show anything. It's not going to. It's going to show you everything you filled in on the next page. From there you have the add recipients option. We've already done it because we selected listing agent and seller 1. I am actually going to change this email because I do want to hit send. And I want to make sure that it doesn't go to whoever John Smith at kw.com is, because I'm sure there is one. So you'll have your listing agent should have your name and your email, and then you have your seller and their email. Now you'll notice a 1 and a 2 over here. This is if we want to have a specific signing order, meaning it goes to listing agent first, the listing agent signs, then it goes to the seller. If you don't care, if you want it to go to everybody all at the same time, you would simply not check that box. If you want somebody to receive a copy, you can add a recipient, put their name, their email address, and then you would click over here and do receives a copy. Be very careful to put needs to view, because if you want somebody just to get a copy of it, you want to do receive a copy. If you want them to take a look at it, you want to do needs to view. However, if that person never goes in and looks at the documents, this envelope will never close and those documents will never be fully signed. So just be aware of that. Typically, you're only going to be using needs to sign, especially for the listing agreements. From there, you can come into, this is the message that comes through on the email side. If you want to put a specific subject, you would just highlight this right here, go ahead and type whatever subject you want, and any message you want to put that's directed to your seller if you want to make it personal to them. Otherwise, it is the generic email from DocuSign that says you've been sent an envelope, these are the documents that are inside, click here to continue. From that, we're going to click next. And this is where you will see what we have actually filled in for our document. You'll see all of the information that we entered when we were filling it out. You'll notice over here on the upper left that we have the listing agent and the buyer. If you click over to the buyer, you'll notice that his signature spots are in blue. A note about this, it looks very colorful for us. It looks very pretty. They do not see the colors when it comes through. So be aware that they do not see that on their end. You'll see the seller's signature here. You can move it around. It will default to about midway through the signature line. You are able to just click it, drag it, and drop it. They automatically drop in the date signed. Same with your signature and the date signed. And then here you want to go ahead and just, the easiest way to do it is just drop in this date signed right here, and that will take in that receipt of a copy. Because what's going to happen is once this document is fully signed, the seller will automatically get a copy of it. Now, we were talking about that whole seller property disclosure statement that is so fun for us to try to drag everything through. DocuSign has made it easy for you and has done everything for you. A note about this that you do want to have a conversation with your seller about, and you do actually want to have this conversation and let them know that you can help them fill this out if they have any questions about it. You cannot fill it out for them. If they simply open up the DocuSign envelope and click next to all the required signature fields, they will skip every bit of this information to fill in because this is all optional to fill in. Now, we've discussed with DocuSign about making it required. At this time, we have not, because it makes it required for all of the state of Georgia, and some market centers do not want it to be required. They want the sellers to actually have that conversation with their listing agents for them to walk them through this document. So for now, it is optional. If they are just clicking the next button, you are going to get back a signed blank seller disclosure, and you're going to have to resend it to them. So have that conversation up front with them. You'll notice it has everything in here. You do have the option of highlighting these what they're called radio buttons, where it's an either or button. You can turn it required. Just be very, very careful doing that. And when I say be very careful, don't just say, well, I'm going to highlight the whole document and make it required, because that runs into an issue on this page. These are optional checkboxes. If you make them all required, that means the seller has to check every box on this page. That means they have to leave the swing set. They have to leave the twin treehouse. They may want to be taking their gas grill with them, but you've made them leave it. They may want to take their hot tub, but you've just told everybody that you're leaving it. So you want to make sure you do not have this page as required, simply because it is an optional. You're only going to have the seller check what they are leaving behind. Again, you have the signature spots already dropped in for you, and the same applies to the community association disclosure. They will need to fill this in. It is not required. So, well, when I say it's not required for them to sign the document. It is required for them to actually fill it out. But you have to make sure that they know they can't just click that next button and it'll take them to every question. Again, signature, date signature, and then the affiliated business disclosure. This is what it looks like. And you just simply have to, this is the one page that is not mapped for signature, so you do have to drag and drop. Make sure that you have your seller selected over here. You drag a signature spot, and you can adjust the size. And then you just drag their name, and that will auto-populate when they when they go and sign it. So when they sign, their name will automatically appear there. And from there, you just hit send. And then your documents have been sent for signature, and once the seller signs and you sign, then you will be able to have those signed documents that you can then add back into Command, into your opportunity for review. Now to do that, you just simply click back on the Command tab, And in the listed folder over here, you select your DocuSign, your working folder, and right now nothing will show up because we have no PDF files in our DocuSign room, but you would have a drop down menu and you would select the listing agreement, the affiliated business disclosure, if you had a legal description, as well as Lead-Based Paint, Community Association, and seller disclosure. And that is simply how you fill in the seller brokerage agreement. Now, we did touch briefly on how to find the legal description. I'm going to show you one of the easiest ways to do it if you're doing deed book and page. You can go to fmls.com. You'll use your login that was given to you by the Market Center. You'll go into your matrix. Matrix is what you use to search and also list your properties. And you'll click on Public Records. I am just simply going to search my home just so that we can show you a tax record. And you'll notice sometimes it can be finicky. There we go. Let's see. I think we must have a particular we'll just select this one for now just so I can show you guys one. So we're going to click on this. If you click on the report, this will bring up a tax record for you, and it usually has this information up at the top: the owner's information, the location information, the tax information. This is where you find that tax ID number that you want to copy and paste into your listing agreement. And then if you keep scrolling down, you'll find the last market sale history. This is what you want to look for. You'll see it has deed book and page. And so you'll just want to make sure you copy the deed book and page and add it into that legal description. That would be under the legal description, and it's in the second option under filling in the legal description. So if you have any questions regarding filling out documents, you can reach out to your Market Center leadership. Most Market Centers also have agent mentors and productivity coaches that are also available to help. And should you have any questions regarding what is and is not allowed, you are welcome to reach out to your broker as well as any of our alliance attorneys. They are always willing to help out. So hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you got some information out of this. And if you need anything, always reach out to us.